Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Positive Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. Today's episode is a super exciting guest episode with Holly Barker. We're going to be speaking all about the nutrition of agility dogs. Now, this is a super informative episode. I had a great 2 hours talking to Holly Barker all about this topic. She answered 15 of your guys' questions, and yeah, I learnt a lot and had so much fun. So thank you to Holly for coming on the podcast, and we're going to get straight into the episode because I don't have much of a life/weekly update for you guys. We're going into the winter season. The agility season's kind of over, giving myself and Arrow a little break. And yeah, so not tons has been going on, to be honest, just working, lots of teaching and also lots of dog walking to get the money in, as you do. But yeah, apart from that, not tons to update you guys on. So I'm going to let you get straight into listening to this episode with Holly.
I always ask my guests, first and foremost, to just give a brief introduction of yourself. So who you are, what you do, etc. before we begin. So, who are you?
I'm Holly Barker. I'm a canine nutritionist who specialises in canine athletes, sports dogs with a job. Having said that, anyone can have a consultation with me. It's not that your dog has to be a sporting dog for me to be interested at all. It's just that's where my specialism lies.
Perfect.
And yeah, this is what I do now as a full-time job. It's been my side hustle up until last year, alongside being a registered nurse for the past sort of 10, 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And this was my side hustle. And then I left nursing last year to do this as my full-time. And so that's what I'm doing now. It's my full-time job. I'm keeping my nursing registration because it allows me to kind of do CPD that I can apply to dogs.
Yes,
so
bit interlinked there. Yeah.
It's I have been shoehorning a link between these two professions for the entire time I've done them. Everyone's like, so what do you do that makes like canine nutrition your thing? I'm like, oh, nursing.
And everyone's like, oh, okay.
And everyone's like, that's a very tenuous link. When actually, in actual fact, it's really not. It's really not a tenuous link at all. I try always to be humble, I do, but the bit that makes me good at what I do is that I was a good nurse. And the things that I was really good at in nursing, I apply to this, and that's why I'm good at this too. It's because some things just are a foundation skill that you can apply across multiple things. And for me, nursing has definitely been a foundation skill for my canine nutrition. So yeah, that's
cool.
That's me.
That's very cool that you can now do it full time.
Super boastful. I feel like I've been boasting.
Oh no, you deserve to boast. Absolutely, that's amazing. That is very fun. So, would you say you usually get more? You get more sport dog clients than regular maybe pet dogs? Is that's your general?
I would say that it is the sport dog people.
Okay.
And not everyone who is a sport dog person has a sporting dog issue. So it might be that they've got a sporting dog, but the issue that they come to me is nothing to do with being a canine athlete. They don't want help with stamina or focus or anything like that. It's that they've got a sporting dog, but that sporting dog has come across a hurdle whereby nutrition would be a helpful part of the overall therapies to get that dog back to where it wants to be, whether that's illness or injury. Some people who have sporting dogs, I might have seen that dog when they were 2 years old and just coming into sport, and now it's 10 years later and they're 12.
Okay, yeah.
So then I look after them in their older life as well. So when, if there's a handful of dogs where I've been there through most of their life. And then, so it might be that they get to sort of 10, 12 years old. And originally I was fueling them through, agility or whatever. But now they're a little bit older. They might have a little bit, they might have early stage kidney disease that they want my help with. They might have the onset of arthritis that they want my help with supplements and things like that. And so it goes on. So I look after dogs through their entire lifespan.
And I suppose you often do see potentially more problems that, need either fixing or managing through nutrition in old age, really. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, often things arise at that point in their life, doesn't it?
Exactly. So in older age, absolutely. But also, you know, when you work with people in the world of dog, it's very, very different than pet world. They're a different sort of people. These are people that watch their dogs, and I don't mean obsessively or excessively or pathologically, but
More
these are
than the
people that watch
average.
their dogs.
Yes, yeah.
That dog has a change in gait, they are on it.
Yeah, immediately.
That dog has, any deviation from their pattern of norms, and usually people are on it. So I do get to be part of managing that dog's health, sort of early doors, quite often.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm the first port of call. Obviously, your veterinary team's always your first port of call, all of that sort of thing. But quite often, with a lot of people, we've built a relationship over years.
Yeah, they
And
trust you.
It's trust. It's having that therapeutic relationship. And even if they come to me, and it's literally nothing I'm one of the things that I don't do is I do not buy into the kind of branding that a lot of people in the nutritional sphere do, which is making nutrition the be all and end all. I'm actually quite anti that.
Okay.
Because with this, I wouldn't say it's a trend, it's just something that some people fall into where they think that everything that you put in your dog's bowl is responsible for the dog's health. And it's not. It's a piece of the pie.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm more than happy to be a piece of the pie. But sometimes that piece of the pie has been done to death and it's fine. But because in previous years, I've had all that input in making that piece of the pie as good as it can be, when something else crops up, I can also say, look, we've spent 4 years getting this dog's diet bang on. And in this particular case, am I allowed to swear somewhere? I'm finding it difficult not to swear.
Yes, go for it.
So I'm not going to bullshit anyone and go, I can cure your dog by changing its food from this to this and adding these 5 supplements, because that's not true of anything ever.
No,
and anyone
just
that does come across like that, I'm like,
that's not right.
Snake, bullshit meter, red flags going off all over the place.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think because I am like that, that's why people are kind of like, well, I'll just have a consult with Holly anyway, just to see.
Yes.
See what she says.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So sometimes there's that element. Sometimes it's more like being a sounding board for people.
Yeah.
I don't mind that either.
Yeah, and you're not giving people unrealistic expectations either. You know, you're saying this could, this is likely to help and benefit, but it's not going to fix every problem ever necessarily.
I also don't give them unrealistic routines.
Yes, yeah.
So sometimes, like, say someone wants to home cook or something like that, and they'll say that they got a recipe from here, there, or everywhere. Will I have a look at it? Because they're finding it quite difficult. And then I'm like, yeah, I'd find 30 separate ingredients that you can only get between Waitrose and a herb seller in Azerbaijan. I'd find that quite difficult.
Yeah, not sustainable.
Not sustainable. Every bloody day cooking, I don't know, ostrich or emu or something, because someone's decided that the dog needs the protein that it's never had before, ever. And things like that. The other kind of part of nutrition that I'm quite an advocate for is demystifying, myth busting 100%, and really kind of hitting it home that yes, it's not as simple as, feeding your dog a kilogram of beef mince a day from Aldi or whatever. Yes, you do have to do things to balance it, but getting that balance is nowhere near as difficult as it's sometimes made out to be.
Yes.
You hear that quite a lot. Like, homemade diets are very difficult to get all of the things. No, they're not.
It doesn't have to be. No,
they're not. You just have to know the right things to add. So
yes,
I like to do a lot of that as well. Like I try to make people's life easier.
Yeah.
Or certainly I won't make it unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, people do like to overcomplicate things, don't they? They really do.
Or
they assume it's necessary to overcomplicate it, and often it's not.
Yeah, and but also I think there's this feeling of, if you aren't completely exhausting yourself by meeting your dog's care needs, that you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Come on, people, come on. Because
Yes.
my next door neighbour's 18-year-old Jack Russell ate Baker's its whole entire life, never that dog wanted for nothing, but nothing ever happened to it.
Yes.
Didn't eat the best food at all, didn't do any, never Yeah, just literally nothing. And so, we have to kind of use these examples sometimes to bring ourselves back down to earth. Like, it's really good that you're doing all the things that you're doing, but not at the expense of extreme stress.
Yeah.
Not at the expense of exhausting yourself, not at the expense, quite literally, financial expense. Like, you don't have to be bankrupting yourself or taking out loans or all of these things to care for your dog.
Yeah, because often dog sport people are doing that already by doing the dog sport. We're already bankrupting ourselves. Why would we want to do any more of that?
All the time. And I know. Do you know what makes me feel guilty all the time is that I contribute to it, Summer. Like, I'll post something like a random link on my group. I'll just be like, oh, here's, there's a sale on this place if anyone wants to go and have a look. And the next thing, the website's crashed.
Because everyone's
sold out. Everyone's blaming me like it's my company. All I've done is posted a link. You all need to calm down.
Didn't force you to buy this. Just saying.
I post a link and everyone's like, Polly, another thing I've got to buy because of you. I'm like, I am not. There's no peer pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to do that.
No peer pressure.
Yeah, just a recommendation.
For me to buy things just because I post something that is available to buy doesn't mean I'm telling you to buy it. That's something that other people have made up. I don't tell people to buy things.
Can't take responsibility for that. Oh, that's funny. Right, let's get into the questions.
I do try and do discount codes as well. If I am going to share something,
you will give people a discount.
At least I'll try and save you some money before the impulse buying starts.
Yes, absolutely. Right, let's get into the questions from my listeners then. So the first one is there any specific type of protein that is extra beneficial for an agility dog in terms of energy levels?
Goodness.
So, right. Protein more specific as a macronutrient.
No. Is the short answer. Short answer is no. Protein isn't. No, protein is not the thing that's going to have a huge impact on the way that your dog performs. If I'm understanding the question correctly, does that mean is there a protein as in beef would be better, or chicken would be better, or turkey, or duck?
I'm
is
guessing
that what that
that's
means?
what it means. That's how it sounds.
Rather than the protein level of a food? Should we cover both?
Let's cover both,
okay.
Just in case.
So, in terms of if beef or lamb or blah, 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 blah is better, I will say this over and over again, as I have in other podcasts, I will do it in this one. It depends on your dog.
Yes,
always. And it depends how much of the science that exists you want to read into or apply to that question. So we can make it really sciencey. The off-the-cuff answer is no, not really. It's not going to make a difference. If your dog needs 1,500 calories a day, is like a 20 kilogram dog or whatever, as long as you are providing that amount of calories to your dog, they're going to perform to their standard. However, if you pick 20% of that 1,500 calories as beef, is your dog going to perform better if you were to pick 20% of that 2,000, 1,500, whatever calories of rabbit or lamb? Are you going to see a difference? Probably not. Yeah, not for your average dog, because if you're providing 20% of protein, however that 20% of those 1,500 calories, however that's delivered, whether it's from eggs, fish, meat, fucking tofu, don't feed your dog tofu. But
corn,
insects, whatever, all different types of protein. So it's probably not going to make a massive difference. However, if you've got, now everyone's going to start emailing me about this, and I wish I hadn't said it, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you have got a dog that presents as extremely hyperactive, poor focus, cannot get that dog's attention, too busy looking at butterflies, hunting for birds, whatever it is. And I will add to that it's usually Cocker Spaniels and usually Border Collies of working lines. Some of those dogs are more sensitive to higher protein levels or certain types of protein that are higher in neuroexciters. So this is the sciencey bit, that if you want to apply it to your dog, you can. But the caveat is this doesn't apply to loads of dogs. Everyone's got a mental Border Collie and everyone's got a mental Cocker Spaniel.
Absolutely.
Just because I'm saying this doesn't mean it applies to your dog. But to some dogs, it does apply. So for some dogs, proteins that are higher in those neuroexciting amino acids such as glutamate,
Yep.
then for those dogs, protein might make a difference. You might see a difference between if you feed a dog something that's higher glutamate to something that's lower glutamate. So lower glutamate meats lamb is lower glutamate, for example. So there's that. It's also how the food has been cooked that can change the amount of glutamate in it. So if you want to be your own little neuroscientist, go and test all of these different meats and which one's higher glutamate, which one's higher tryptophan. Actually, tryptophan doesn't make a difference when it's talking about meat. But if you want to go and be a scientist, by all means, go and be a scientist. But that's taking it to...
You don't, not necessary.
That's taking it to a level that usually I will only do on like the third consultation with an extremely hyperactive dog. And I've done lots of things before that, like calming herbs and focusing herbs, and maybe adding some things to help the gut for energy exchange and focus and hormones and all of the other stuff. At the very end of that, I might go, do you know what? Let's just do low glutamate and see what happens.
Yes, yeah.
So, yes, it's possible. It is possible that the protein does make a difference, but not for most people.
Yeah, unlikely in exceptional cases maybe, but unlikely in the majority.
Yeah, and it is nearly always collies and cockers.
Yes, yeah, that sounds about right. Having a cocker of my own. Crazy dogs.
And in the same vein, if we're talking about protein content, so let's say it's a dry food or a wet food, most raw foods are for dry matter. So when we're talking about dog foods and the protein, carb, fat levels, to make it an even playing field, when it's a wet food or a raw food, you talk about dry matter.
Yes.
So that you can compare it to kibble and it's all the same. So that would be, if you removed all the moisture from that food, what would the levels be? So you can compare it to kibble. So for most dogs, something that's around about the kind of 25 to 30% protein mark is fat. Okay. It's fine. Yeah. Raw food tends to sit much, much higher, around 40%, up to 40%, sometimes more, which for lots of dogs, absolutely fine. But for these very sensitive dogs, they're a bit more hyperactive. Just a bit much protein.
Yes, yeah.
When there's a lot of protein, all of those neuroexciting amino acids are generally going to be higher up because there's more of it. So sometimes for those dogs, lowering the amount of protein can be helpful. And the other thing about that is there's only so much protein that a dog is going to use for the things that protein is prioritized for. So rebuilding, repair, it's the building blocks of your cells.
Yes,
protein is. But there's only maybe about per 1,500, 2,000 calories, there's only about 50 grams-ish, maybe 50 to 75. It's not really exact. It depends on the dog and their metabolism. But there's not loads of that protein that's going to be used as proteins. Anything that's left over, like everything else in excess in the diet, if it's not used for its initial function, it gets turned into sugar first. People are always very surprised to hear that protein gets turned into sugar by the body.
Okay.
But all the carnivore people don't tell you this, do they?
Of course not.
When they're harping on about carbs are bad and sugar is bad, what happens if you eat too much protein?
Yeah, you do associate it with carbs, don't you? Or general, that's stereotypically, isn't it?
The only thing that isn't going to end up as sugar, and I use the term sugar because that's layman's terms. What we're talking about is glucose and glycogen and energy in a kind of starchy based form.
Yeah.
The only thing that isn't going to do that is fat. Protein any excess of it gets turned into sugar by a process called gluconeogenesis, gets turned into sugar, and when that doesn't get used, it gets turned into fat. So it doesn't matter what it is, an excess from carbs or protein, it's still just excess energy. It's going to end up as either sugar or fat. So when people are talking about hyperactive dogs and being really fizzy because, on the one side, you've got the raw evangelists that are going, it's carbs. Carbs make dogs badly behaved and fat. And then you've got everyone else going, carbs are just energy. So is protein. An excess ends up being sugar anyway. What you're talking about.
Yeah.
So all of these things. So from the protein side of things, that's your answer.
Okay.
The very in-depth side, maybe there's something to it. But on the surface, for most dogs, for your level of understanding of most people, no, it shouldn't make a difference if you feed your dog turkey or beef.
Yeah, all very similar.
All very good,
Yes,
yeah.
Perfect. So would you recommend then giving a joint supplement to a young dog, and if so, which one? So quite a few agility people give their dogs joint supplements. I give Arrow joint supplements. I feel like it's quite a common thing to do, but would you recommend this for a young dog specifically?
I do. I recommend it as soon as the protections of puppyhood are lifted.
Okay.
So by that I mean, if you're looking at starting competing, you need a joint support.
Yes.
If you're looking at going from being relatively on the flat to jumping the full height that your dog is expected to jump for the rest of its career, you need a joint support. If you're going from maybe just doing jumping and kind of like fairly low grid work, that sort of thing, but then you start incorporating contact, you need a joint support. And for most dogs, this is happening sort of between 12, 18 months, 2 years, around about that age. And the reason why I say that's when you need to add a joint support is because in future years, if there's any problems with the joints, it's an inflammatory process. And that inflammatory process begins at the moment that there is anything to cause inflammation in the first place. And all that needs to be is a hard landing.
Yeah.
So impact. So impact is absolutely necessary for healthy bones and joints. It's impact is one of the things that triggers osteoblasts, which is the bone cells to grow. You need the impact for that to signal that to happen. So impact is very important. But it's also where injuries begin quite often.
Yeah.
Twists, turns, sprains, strains, impacts, all of that. That's when you get the beginnings of an inflammatory process around a joint.
Okay.
And within a dog's body, these inflammatory processes are in relation to cells called cytokines. And cytokines are your inflammatory cells. So what you want is a joint support that is going to act on those bodily systems. So when there's inflammation there, there's going to be a supplement there that does something about that.
Okay, yeah.
Now then, that's where you're then into the world of, so which supplement?
Yeah, and there's so many, isn't there? There's always so many things.
So many. And do you know what? Their advertising makes me spitting, hopping mad.
Oh, really?
It makes me so mad the way that joint supplements are advertised, because I just think it's misleading at best.
Okay, interesting.
And one of the things that I'm referencing, which is really popular for a lot of brands to do now, so I'm not picking on anyone in particular, is that they will do like a grid like this, and they'll have their joint supplement name. So, Sexy Needs Triple X, or whatever it's called. Sexy Needs Triple X does not sound like a joint supplement, does it?
It might be.
Anyway,
It might be.
That's a bit cut out, but you know what I mean. So they've got their silly name for their joint support: Flexi, Sexy, Knees and Hips, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, does it have 8 million milligrams of glucosamine in it? Check. Does anyone else's? No. They're terrible.
Okay, so
Does it
comparing.
have, all of this comparing stuff. And in amongst that, you'll have, coming quite swiftly onto my favourite product, which is Antanol. In amongst that, you'll have Antanol. And it'll be like, glucosamine, no. Chondroitin, no. I'm like, yes, because that's not what it's for. It's to address the inflammatory process. And it addresses the inflammatory process by having really concentrated sources of different types of fatty acids, and those fatty acids, and it's not just omega-3, there's all different ones, galactolipids, all of the different sorts of fatty acids that help with inflammation are in this one little tiny little super expensive but reassuringly expensive little pill. And that's why I like Antanol. And I like it so you can have it from sort of 12 months old. And that's why I like that, because it's easy peasy. It does what it says on the tin. And what it says on the tin is what we want for a dog throughout their life if they're going to be competitive or even train any sort of sport. That's what we need. So my first sport of call, nice and simple, just Antanol, just targeting inflammation. It's not one of these ones where there's dubious research. So dubious research is where in a Petri dish, in a lab, it does what you want it to do. But there's been no published studies on it. The studies that have been published have not been peer reviewed. And this is where my little annoyances start occurring straight off the bat. So, for example, the people that say having mega amounts of glucosamine and chondroitin is what you're aiming for, there's your safety study for that. Where is the safety study that says giving a dog 3 times the studied beneficial amount of something in 10 years isn't going to be the thing that's put a burden on their kidneys?
You need
Where's
proof.
the safety study for that? Where's all the studies that say how it interacts with other things in the body? And so on and so forth. So for that reason, I'm like, bigger is not necessarily better. More is not necessarily better. And, you know, at the very kind of no harm end, it's just that you're just creating really expensive poo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really expensive poo all week. And then the other one is we don't know. What I do know is in the human studies for human beings that have compromised kidneys, that it has been proven that high doses of glucosamine and chondroitin aren't the thing. And if you've ever heard me on a podcast, on a consultation, on anything at all, I harp on about dogs' kidneys. I know I bore everyone. I know I do.
It's important,
but in sporting, it's very important because in sporting dogs, the thing that I see more than anything else limiting their life is kidney disease.
Oh, interesting.
So agility dogs, flyball dogs, high performance animals, these dogs have had a lifetime of very hard-working kidneys. So I don't want to put anything into that dog that's going to make their kidneys work harder than they already do. So I'm very kidney protective in my practice because I've identified that that's one of the areas where sporting dogs need more support.
Yes, okay.
Which is why we went on the whole hydration thing a couple of years ago. That was a bit of a mission for me, wasn't it? Because I was like, right, I have seen far too much kidney disease now. I'm going to have to do something about it.
Yep, it's time.
Drive for hydration, and then all of the rest of the things where I want my joint support to be supportive in general. And so that's what you get from using an anti-inflammatory, not anti-inflammatory like Metacam, but a joint support that targets inflammation as much as the other things. So yeah, Antinol for sure. There's also, I quite like MaxiFlex. That's got some nice things in there for inflammation. And that's a nice one for sort of giving long term. It's got a little bit of devil's claw in it for an anti-inflammatory effect and comfort in the joints as well. And then for older dogs that are like, there's definitely something then going on and maybe they need a little bit of pain management alongside whatever the vet's doing. I like Boswellia. And alongside Antinol as well, or instead of, because I'm not sheltered to the fact that Antinol is extremely expensive. And I don't want anyone to feel like they're not doing the best for their dog because they're not giving that thing. That's not what I mean by that at all. So you can still give other stuff that's supportive, and so the next step down from the Antinol would be, or actually not even a step down, so you can use it with Antinol, or you can just use it on your own, and that's a really good quality omega-3.
Okay.
So just an omega-3 fish oil, doesn't have to even be a dog specific one if you don't want to. And for that I usually go for per sort of 5 kilogram body weight of dog. The EPA, which is one type of omega-3, and the DHA, which is another type. They're the two that you want. I'd probably go per 5 kilogram, maybe sort of 90 to 100 grams of each.
Okay. And that's added to the food?
Yeah,
okay.
But really what's going to do that is probably like a 500 milligram fish oil capsule would probably be fine per 5 kilograms body weight.
Okay.
If you're giving Antinol as well, give it separately so it doesn't dilute it. because the two things are different. But yeah, that's what I would go. Panthenol or a really good omega-3. On top of that, you can use something like MaxiPause, MaxiFlex, or who else do I like? K2 K9. They do nice joint support. Anything, even, you move advanced, things like that. All of these things that have stuff like green lip mucilin, that have these anti-inflammatory properties, that's what you want.
Cool.
On top of that, I like rosehip. It has something called galactolipids in it, which are like little kind of slippery, fatty acids that get into the joint and help with joint lubrication. So for rosehip, if you wanted to give your dog that, you just need normal rosehip powder, whichever's cheapest on Amazon. It doesn't have to say dog on it.
No.
There are not rose bushes that are grown for dogs and rose bushes that are grown for humans. It's all the same. And so for rosehip, it's half a teaspoon of rosehip powder once a day per 5 kilogram body weight.
Cool.
And you can put all of these things together.
Perfect. Lots of recommendations there. Cool. Everyone get on Amazon.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah. Awesome. So the next question then, what supplements would you recommend giving to an adult agility dog and why? Now, I'm going to assume it's quite similar to a young dog.
Do you mean joint supplements?
It hasn't specified. It generally hasn't specified.
Wow.
So I'm going to say supplements in general.
Supplements in general. Right, okay. So all of those joint supplements that I just said.
Yeah.
Yes. Including the rosehip. Yes. And then I suppose I've answered questions like this before. And I think people sometimes say supplements. Maybe they mean herbs. I'm not sure. But like shit that we can add to their food.
Yeah.
Call it that. I like herbs. I am not a herbalist. I'm not into herbal medicine. What I do with herbs is I treat them as an ingredient. So I'm choosing them based on, let's say, chamomile because it's got a good amount of B6, or nettle because it's got a good amount of vitamin C, or so, things like that.
Yeah.
Or because of their flavonoids or bioflavonoids or whatever. So for me, that would be herbs. So the easiest way to do it is with a supplement like Better Every Day.
Okay.
So we know Better Dog from the Better Hydration.
Yep.
So they have Better Hydration and they have Better Every Day, which is a herbal supplement that has all of those things in it in one spoonful, box ticked. So it has all my favourite herbs in there, medicinal mushrooms. So all of that. It's got nettle, ginseng, chamomile, nutritional yeast. All of these things are in there. So if you didn't want to use the Better Every Day, you could just do your own herbal blend. So for that, you could do, so my kind of top herbs, I do nettle. We've already talked about rosehip. So I do nettle, chamomile, and thyme. And you can just buy those dry herbs. You can buy the horsey ones and get like a kilogram of it for 20 quid, or you can go onto something like Just Ingredients or buy Whole Foods online and you can buy your herbs there. But nettle, it's all the same amount. Nettle is half a teaspoon per 5 kilograms once a day. Same for thyme and same for chamomile.
Okay.
And and the other thing you could do is look at a kelp supplement if you wanted to. Something like Door West kelp.
Oh yeah, heard of that.
I'm sure they say to give something like an entire teaspoon per 10 kilogram dog or something, which is probably a little bit much. You don't have to give as much as that.
Yeah, no, I've heard of Door West quite a lot.
Yeah. But something like any of the kelp supplements. So things like Billy No Mates, that's for fleas and things, that have kelp in it, so you can use that. It's also got mint and fenugreek in there. They're nice herbs. Plaque Off, that's a kelp supplement for dental, but it's still just kelp. So any kelp supplement, not a bad idea. Other than that, give me that 2 minutes. My dog's destroying my travel pillow.
Oh no! That is not what you want.
If I wasn't on a camera.
There we go. That's where the editing comes in handy. See,
she's just taken the label off it, so it's not too bad.
Oh,
and my Radley bag.
She was like, "She's distracted. Now is my time."
She's distracted. Now's the time to find some things and destroy them.
Oh, that's funny.
So yes, that's my supplements. It's herbs rather
Yes,
than
okay.
supplements, really.
That's interesting because I give the.
Maxi Pause, Maxi Digest. That's a good one.
Oh, right, okay. Cool. Yeah, I give
Just
the
for good
plaque off.
digestion.
I give the plaque off for the dog's teeth. But that's interesting
Yeah.
thinking, you know, even though that is for the teeth, it's still got kelp in it, so it's still going to benefit them in other ways too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's some really, really good studies done on it. There's one of the universities in Italy has a nutritional vet there called, I think, Sergio Costello, and he just researches the crap out of all sorts of things and the benefits, and so he's looked at kelp quite extensively, and yeah, just a little bit of seaweed, not a bad thing.
Absolutely. So, is it possible then for a dog to get all the nutrients they need from their diet without the addition of any supplements?
Yes, because that's the point. That's the point of food. So, that is the point of foods that are balanced to a standard. And in Europe, the standard is called FEDIAF, which is the European Federation Industry for Pet Food.
Okay.
And then in America, it's AFCO, so the Animal Feed Authority or whatever they're called. They set up standards that says each dog per, so you call it metabolizer. Oh, can't speak. Metabolizable. No, that's not it.
Metabolizable?
NE. It's the metabolizable energy. And I can't get my tongue around it, sorry.
Tongue twister.
But for the amount of energy that they can get from that food, there is a set standard, minimum standard. So there should be minimum X amount of zinc per 500 calories, X amount of copper, iron, all the minerals and all the vitamins.
Okay.
And then they're broken down into essential and non-essential. So everything that's essential, you have to have. Everything that's non-essential doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But if you want to be like above and beyond, then you would add supplements maybe that meet that need. The exception to that is raw food that is said to be 80-10-10 rather than FEDIAF complete or AFCO complete.
Okay.
So if a raw food is just 80-10-10, it doesn't have all of those. As part of my job, I have software and spreadsheets and all of this stuff that I can put any ingredient, any recipe that I might make, I put it into this software and it tells me where the vitamins and minerals are missing.
Oh, okay. That's handy.
Yeah, well, anyone can do it. Mine are paid for, but you can access similar versions where you can check these things yourself.
Cool.
If you go on the Balance It website, you can put your whole recipe in there and then kind of click go, and it'll tell you like, oh, well, you need to use our supplements to balance it or whatever, but you don't have to. You can click on the information. It'll tell you exactly each vitamin and mineral that's missing.
And then that's what you add to your food.
And that's what you add to your food.
Yeah, good idea.
With commercial foods, all of that's done all the time. Now, depending on where you live and which, like where you live in the world, depends on if there is a standard to be conformed to there or not. So most of us here are in the UK.
Yeah.
So going by that standard, most of what you buy, if it says that it's FEDIAF, it is.
Okay.
Some companies go and do third-party testing so that even if they use software like I do, that says that it's all okay, some will go the next extra step and send one of their batches of food for third-party testing so that they know that what's in it is what the paperwork says. Because the data can change between systems and all the rest of it.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, for the most part, no, they don't necessarily need supplements in order to perform what you're asking them to. And we know that's true because, let's say, out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of working dogs that I know that are fed on really, really cheap food that comes by the pallet, that they will eat their entire life, that their mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, everyone else for 3, 4, 5, 6 generations before, they've all eaten the same food. They've never had a supplement in their life.
Yeah.
They're all living to, a grand old age with very little gripes, having had a workload throughout their life that would make our sporting dogs shiver in their boots.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to work. They're never going to work that hard. when I say that hard, like comparatively. However, we're dealing with competitive dogs. So just because, yes, they can do it on the bare minimum, what I do and what I advocate for is, but what can they do with more?
Yeah. Just because they can do something like that doesn't mean they should or need to.
Yeah. So, yeah, your dog is doing exactly what you want it to do on, you know, a food that costs 50p a day or whatever, that you're doing nothing with. Yeah, your dog's probably gonna have enough energy to, you know, if they're not losing weight, if they're doing what you want them to do, fine. But then what about if you start treating your dog as an individual and using your dog's food to meet those individual needs? So what about, your dog's done what you want it to do, and it does that 3 times in a row, but then for the next 2 days, really tired. Maybe we could do something to
improve it,
stop it taking out of them so much.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do it so that they're not just not tired when they're done, but they're benefiting. So they're not depleted. They're like, that was amazing. Let's grow.
Yeah.
Let's grow from there. Let's do better from there, rather than I need to recover from that.
Yeah,
and
that's a lot.
That's where I come in. I don't want to see dogs recovering from what you're doing with them. I want to see dogs asking for more.
Yes,
I want to see dogs doing better. I want to see them reaching their full potential rather than just, will it do? Well, of course it'll do. That's the point of it.
Thriving, not surviving.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's missing the science of it. And that's what I would like to bring. Like, does that dog look like it would benefit from something that's a little bit richer in taurine? Do we think this dog might perform better if we put it on slightly lower amount of protein or a slightly higher amount of protein or whatever? This is why I exist, to find those things out in conjunction with their person. But if that's not something that anyone's interested in, then your normal bag of dog food will probably be fine.
Yeah, it's trying to improve their, quality of life, doing what they're doing, isn't it? Essentially.
Yeah. If you're happy with what your dog's getting from what you're feeding them without a single supplement in the world, that's great.
That's fine. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You just don't get to meet people like me.
Exactly. So who's missing out, really?
Who's missing
out? So someone says, should you add vegetables to your dog's food if they're on a 100% raw diet?
Yes. Yeah. Otherwise, they're not. This is one of those things where it's like the myth busting. So within the evangelical rule, there's lots of these things like dogs don't need vegetables, wolves don't eat vegetables.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Wolves fucking do eat vegetables. The thing is they're not near them to be able to eat them. If you had a wolf pack that was allowed to live alongside domesticated humans that were growing all sorts of vegetables that those dogs had access to, they would bloody well steal them and eat them because it's a source of energy. That's all they're after.
Yeah.
And if and also that particular, wolves don't eat vegetables kind of thing. Like, not vegetables, but like they do eat vegetation.
Yeah.
And within the seasons, when you test, like when you go and look at their feces to see what they've been eating through the seasons, you bet your bottom dollar in fruit season they're eating not just a little bit of fruit. I think one of the observational studies showed that they will eat between 1 and 2 kilograms of berries. If they find them, they will decimate them. They'll eat all of them. And then they will engage in the nurturing of that ecosystem by travelling back there to defecate, to plant the seeds so that the next year there's more.
Oh, right. Wow, yeah. So they do want them and need them, yeah.
So they do want the plant stuff and they will interact with it. And everyone always goes on about fucking wolves. Like, they're like, they're the thing that we should be comparing our dogs to in terms of being a successful species. Wolves are not a successful species.
No.
There's not many of them at all. Compared to dogs, successful species. We've nearly all got one. There's millions and millions and millions of them. Everywhere. Our lives revolve around them. For, a lot of people, our lives revolve around them. Wolves, not so much. So yes, there is benefit to having vegetables in a completely raw diet. And here are my benefits for that. So vegetables contain antioxidants, large amounts of antioxidants that you can't get from meat alone. They contain fibre, different sorts of fibre, both soluble and insoluble. And within that soluble and insoluble, there are all different ones that have all different functions, none the least to support and feed the gut bacteria and to keep a healthy gut biome. And as time goes on, more researchers are realizing that the more diverse and healthy a dog's gut biome, bacterial population, whatever, the more robust that is, the more healthy the dog is, both in mood and mind and heart and physically and all the rest of it. And personally, the easiest, cheapest and most efficient way of ticking all of those boxes, if you're feeding a raw food diet, is by adding plants.
Yes, yeah.
Not just vegetables, but fruit, veg, herbs. Make it complete. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But I think if anyone's on my group or any of my socials, they all know I like a vegetable.
Yes.
If there's nothing else that I can do for my dogs on a day, being a very forgetful person, so I might forget to defrost their raw food. I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
I forget to defrost their raw food or whatever. But even with all of that, there's not often a day where I won't cook their veg, where I won't do them vegetables.
Yeah.
At least 2. It's just super important to me. And if I can't, if that isn't happening, then I'm just giving them kibble and that's got vegetables in anyway. But mostly I raw feed, but not always. And actually not at the minute. At the minute I'm kibble feeding because I've just some of my dogs have had some changes in their needs, and while I figure out what that's going to look like for their long-term fresh feeding, they're happy with the kibble that meets those needs.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, veg, I'm a big fan, and fruit and herbs. But yeah, even if you're, the other thing is it doesn't have to be raw veg. There's very few veg that actually are better just kind of given raw and pulverized. Otherwise, you're releasing their benefits by cooking them. So things like root veg, they don't digest very well if you don't cook them.
Oh, okay.
The really important fibre, for example, that's in carrots is pectin. You're not going to get that out if you don't cook them. Same for apples. So certain really good fibre, and I'm using pectin as the example, is better from being slow cooked. Things like spinach and delicate leaves, so spinach, chard, stuff like that. You don't really need to cook them, but blending it certainly helps. If for no other reason, have you ever eaten just a raw spinach leaf? Tastes like
no thanks.
I've got a dog that will suck blended spinach off of meat and spit it out everywhere. We also have to consider that we're making it taste nice too.
Yes, absolutely.
Which might seem superfluous to a lot of people, but I want my dogs to enjoy their food.
Yeah, of course.
And cooking helps with that as well. Definitely. Eating a plain carrot, not the best.
Not the same.
Eating an uncooked parsnip just isn't happening, and it's definitely not happening with
Whereas
a turnip.
cooked in your roast dinner, yes, please. Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, the greener something is, usually it kind of needs less cooking. Broccoli, for example, doesn't need loads of cooking. If I'm cooking broccoli for the dogs, I usually just steam it for a bit. Kale, very, very fibrous. You ever eaten a kale salad that's raw? Good luck having a poo.
Yeah.
Good luck having a poo. Because it's very fibrous. So things like that, yeah, I like to cook them.
Yeah, because some raw foods are like complete, aren't they, and have like veg in them.
Yeah.
But then some are purely just raw. So again, it's
things.
knowing what's in it. And then...
They are raw, but then when that dog does a poo and you look at it, you just think, how much benefit has that dog gotten from that totally undigested, uncooked butternut squash that was
it's
put
all
in
just
that
come
mold?
out.
It's all just come out. And that's one of those things where on paper, that butternut squash will be meeting the criteria for vitamin A or vitamin C or whatever it might be. But when it's going through undigested, is it?
It's not doing anything, is it? Yeah.
Might not be. So I like to cook. I like to cook the vegetable
for sure
when I can.
So, what is the best way to transition your dog from kibble to raw, in your opinion?
It depends on the dog. If you've got a dog that's pretty robust and you've already swapped and changed between loads of different foods and they're fine, you know, iron stomach, can eat anything. Honestly, those ones usually you can switch straight over and it's not going to be a bother.
Yeah.
But that has to have been that dog's experience, that they've eaten all sorts consistently all the time and never had a bit of bother, that you can look at that dog and go, yeah, that dog's not going to be bothered by a straight transition from one food to another. But if your dog has never transitioned from one food to another, or they have and it really upset them, then you need to do it slowly.
Yes.
So you will see online that you can't mix kibble and raw.
Yeah, I have seen that.
That will so kill your dog mind. Drop like in minutes, they'll just drop dead, die. Yeah. No, they won't.
Yeah.
They won't. This is such a myth. And you hear it like, oh, kibble makes the stomach more alkaline. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
The stomach is an acidic environment naturally, and it responds to what is fed, not as in like the protein, the fat, the content of the food. Not the stomach doesn't go, oh, this is kibble. We couldn't possibly be acidic.
Yeah.
And then you put raw in, and the stomach's like, oh, thank goodness it's raw. Let's be acidic. Like,
yeah,
it's not,
it doesn't work like that.
That's not how digestion works.
No.
So that's why this question comes up. People are like, well, how do you transition a dog from kibble to raw if you're not allowed to mix the two? How does that work?
Confuses people.
Very confusing. So if you want to believe that you can't feed kibble and raw together and the thought of doing that makes you really, really frightened, firstly, I don't think raw feeding's for you, because if this thing makes you frightened, have you heard?
No
It's got loads of bacteria in it. Loads of bacteria.
Yeah, good luck with
those
that.
little bits of bone, quite sharp.
Yeah.
Just if we're going to get scared about things, let's get scared about real things, actual risks. So there's that. So if you wanted to never mix the two but transition them, I go by quarters, which is you take a quarter of your dog's daily intake of what they're currently eating out.
Yeah.
And then you put a quarter of what you're expecting them to eat in.
Okay.
So if that's raw versus kibble, then you could split down your kibble into 4 meals.
Yeah.
And take 1 meal away and replace it with raw and do it that way. And then every 2 days you replace a meal. And then after that you reduce back down to the number of meals that you want to eat. That's boring. Takes forever.
Yeah.
You can do that if you're worried about mixing the two, if you continue to believe the myth that you can't mix the two. Otherwise, you do it in your meals. So you take out a quarter of each meal and you replace it with a quarter of what will be your total daily amount of raw. You can do that fine.
Yes, that makes more sense. Like,
yeah.
I have
and if
to
you
do
look
that because I travel a lot for obviously agility with my spaniel, and he does have quite a sensitive stomach. So if I know I'm going to be traveling, I have to like gradually transition him from his raw to his kibble while I use semi-moist actually, and then back again afterwards, just because I know he just gets the shits. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, for dogs like that, depending on how often you're doing it, if you're doing it more than once and twice a month, I would say there's no point in changing to raw in between times. Just keep them on that.
Yeah. Oh no, it's probably like 3 times a year.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, that's that way of doing it. But if you go online and if you just type in food transition infographic, there's loads of them, nice little pretty pictures where it will give you a visual of what I've just said about taking out a quarter and replacing it with a quarter every 2 days. And if you do that, it means that your dog will transition their diet over the space of 7 to 10 days, and that's absolutely fine.
Ah, there you go. Nice and straightforward. Pretty pictures always help.
I like a picture.
So someone says
I always get in trouble as well because the picture that I like most, that is the best visual for me, is actually a Royal Canin one. And everyone's like, are you using a Royal Canin infographic to tell people how to feed raw? I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
I am indeed. Fight me.
This is the thing when you use the infographics from the really big companies. They've put money into making it
they look prettier.
Work for your brain. So let's take advantage of that. Yeah. We don't have to feed their food.
Exactly. Ignore the logo. It's fine. So someone says then, my dog seems to have very itchy skin when he eats raw, and I can't figure out why. Do you have any ideas?
Well, he's probably allergic to it.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
have a look. I mean, it depends. Any raw, a particular raw.
They just said
if it's
raw.
making them itch, yeah. If it's making them itch, then it needs looking at as to which ingredient might be in there. If it's any raw, all proteins, then it's probably less of an allergy, but more that your dog has a poor immune system to begin with. And when you are eliciting a change, it causes either an activation of the immune system, as in it's the immune system is seeing something that it doesn't agree with, and that is causing itching because it's causing an inflammatory response. Could be that.
Yeah.
And that can happen just with changes in food in general.
Okay.
The thing about a raw food, when I was saying about how it's a bit higher in protein than a lot of them, it's the proteins that the immune system looks at when deciding if something's, foreign or a threat or whatever, and is reacting to it, and that reaction can come about as itching.
Okay.
So if it's not the animal protein, usually chicken or salmon is a really common one.
Yes. Yeah.
And because there's so much of it, because it's just that one thing, if your dog is allergic to it anyway, it might be that in the current food, that dog isn't coming across that allergen either as much or in those quantities. And it's in higher quantities in the raw, therefore there's a more extreme reaction.
Yes, okay, that makes sense.
Because it might be that dog is itchy anyway, and that's why they're trying to put it on a raw diet, because everyone in the world says, oh, if your dog's itchy, put it on a raw diet and that'll fix it.
Yeah, so it might just be
that's
like
not
that.
true either. So it might be that the dog is already itching, and we're trying to figure out, well, why isn't raw helping it then when the entire internet says raw helps itchy dogs? It's only going to help if your dog isn't allergic to what you're giving it, or if there isn't an existing immune mediated issue going on with that dog that is being overwhelmed by the addition of raw food, either because of the bacteria levels or because of the protein. That person should have a consult.
Yeah, they really should. So really it's about, as well, if it comes out of the blue, like it's not pre-existing, it's about looking at the ingredients in this raw and, thinking, well, what is it exactly that it's reacting to, kind of thing.
And quite often it's chicken.
Okay.
A lot of dogs have either an intolerance to chicken, or it makes them itch or whatever, or it's an omega-6 to omega-3 imbalance in the chicken or whatever. But a lot of people will start raw with things that are actually quite allergenic. So it might be, start with this, it's chicken and tripe. I don't know where that came from in the world of raw either. I sound like I'm going on about raw is awful. Yeah, I do actually feed raw myself. Like I'm not anti-raw at all. I'm not anti anything. I'm literally not anti anything. Everything has its place, but there are myths and practices and belief systems within raw that don't exist in other types of feeding.
Yes, yeah.
Which means that there's more for me to address to get to people to understand why these things have been said or why I don't agree with them.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of raw diets, they'll tell you to start on chicken or start on chicken and tripe. And both of those things are the two things that if your dog does have allergies, they're the most likely to exacerbate that allergy.
Interesting.
Chicken because it's chicken. Tripe because it's just completely... Raw green tripe has got all of the enzymes and proteins and bits and pieces from... It's usually green beef tripe, so like from a cow's stomach. So you just put in loads of just raw foreign material into that dog, and that's why they have an immune response. Also, green tripe by its nature is full of grass and plants and bits because it's that part of the cow's stomach that filters all those bits.
Yeah.
So when you give green tripe, it's literally, it's got all of the reason why it's green is because of like those plants, the grasses and things. So if your dog's allergic to grass protein, then well done, you've just fed it the thing that it's allergic to.
Yeah. Whereas the owner might just be thinking, it's tripe.
Yeah, lots of things that need to be considered for itchy dogs.
Yes.
It's very multifaceted.
Yeah.
And that's one of those areas I was talking about before where in itchy dogs, everyone always thinks that it's food that's going to fix it, that's going to fix it, because this is where all of our social media tells us that that's change dog's diet to fix the itch, but do this to fix the itch, and it's all nutritional. And I just think, like, 98% of itching in dogs is because of dust mites. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, nothing to do with food.
Nothing to do with food.
Yeah.
But the reason why you get all these symptoms in association with food is because the immune system is already struggling, and every time you change something, it struggles
Makes it
more,
worse,
which means that every time you change something, the symptoms get worse. And then it leads people to believe that their dog is allergic to 300 different things, because every time you change something, the dog has a reaction. You add it to the list of things that the dog's allergic to, and you end up with this big long list. And most of it is like, no, you've just been influencing the immune system. That's not an allergy. Like,
yeah, interesting.
Especially for really random things, like, yeah, my dog's allergic to olive oil. Like, no, it isn't.
That's very random. Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's just that on the day that you gave your dog olive oil, the temperature was 5 degrees higher than it had been all week. The humidity was as high as it had been that month, and it was just a perfect day for dust mites to be out and about and breeding, and they've caused your dog to flare up, and it's nothing to do with anything that you did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
stuff like that as well.
There's a lot in it, isn't there? There's a lot to think about.
Isn't it? Yeah, it takes
really
a lot.
is.
Takes a lot. Itchy dogs, I'll shut up because I can talk about itchy dogs till the cows come.
Yeah, that's a completely different episode. Itchy dogs.
It's a whole series.
Yeah, literally. So why do dogs go to the toilet less on a raw diet than they do when they're on kibble? Now, I've noticed this so much. Like, when my dog's on kibble, if I'm travelling, he does like 5 poos a day. On raw, maybe 2.
Yeah. So it's low residue, basically. So when I was talking about fibre and all of that before, raw doesn't have any of that. It's one of the things why I bounce between raw and kibble all the time, is because I just think, there's so much less balancing to have to be done. When as well, with my budget, I've got 6 dogs. They're not small. Like, it's expensive to feed them. It doesn't bother me, but sometimes, like, I want to negate either the financial burden or the burden of the raws that I can afford to feed 6 dogs, which are 80-10-10s, balancing them with all of the supplements and things that an 80-10-10 needs to be balanced. So there's that. And every time I go back to kibble, I get so sick of cleaning up shit that I'm like, this is why I feed up. And then I go back. Which is a terrible way of deciding on what to feed your dog, by the way.
It is, but
don't do that. Don't not feed your dog what suits them just because you have to do one more poo pick in a day, me. That's not
worth doing the poo pick.
That's not being a good person. But it's just a lot of poo. It's simply because it so for volume, once it's kind of hydrated, there's a lot of, so if you compare, let's say you compare for calories, you compare raw to a wet food. So the composition of a wet food is going to be very similar to kibble, but with water added. So a 10 kilogram dog is going to need maybe 200-300 grams, depending on what else you're feeding, of raw food. In 1 or 2 meals. So you're going to get 2 little poos from that if they eat twice a day, 1 poo if they eat once a day, as an average. Obviously, some dogs like to poo more. If you were to switch that to a wet food, for calories, a dog's going to have maybe like 4 times as much as that. So if I switch a dog from a raw to a wet, the first email I get is, the dog's lost weight. I'm like, did you follow the feeding guide? No, I just fed them the same amount of raw. Okay, that's why your dog lost weight. Because you can feed that dog 300 grams of raw a day, but if you switch to a wet food, they're going to need maybe 1 kilogram of raw a day. Maybe 1 kilogram of wet food a day.
Yeah, it's volume.
Maybe 800 grams. Volume is way, way more. And people go, that's because it's got cheap fillers. Like, it's not cheap not really, fillers, it's ingredients. It's ingredients. And the difference is raw doesn't have any high fibre, high volume, low calorie ingredients. It's all very energy dense. Protein, you're getting a lot of calories from protein and you're getting a lot of calories from fat. There isn't any carbs in there, so you're not getting any volume from that at all. Whereas with dry foods, for the most part, there is carbohydrate element to that, or a vegetable element to that, which is more fibre, more bulk, more volume to the diet in general. And yeah, that's why more poos. It would be the same as if you as a human being ate steak 3 times a day to get all of your calories.
Very true.
Good luck having a poo.
Yeah.
Firstly, good luck with that. And if you do, it's going to be once a day and it's going to look like Maltesers. Whereas if you have half the amount of steak and the rest of your calories is made up with vegetables and sweet potatoes and maybe like an egg, then the next day you aren't going to be doing a Malteser poo, are you? You're going to do a proper poo. And from my nursing experience, what we do is we do a Bristol stool chart.
Oh, right. Oh, there's even a little a chart for poos as well.
There's a chart. There is a chart. It's called the Bristol stool chart. So if you want to have a little look at a Bristol stool chart, anybody, you can. And the Bristol stool chart applies to dogs in the same way as it does to people. Whereby you judge the quality of the poo and what it looks like. And this is another little myth that I like chasing, and that is that a dog doing poos that look like Maltesers is not a good poo.
Okay.
The aim should not be that your dog's poo looks like Maltesers. It should not be that they look like little bits of concrete. It should not have an audible solid thud when it hits the ground.
No. Yeah.
It should still look like a turd, everybody. It should still look like a turd. It should look like a turd. You should know. You should know. And if it's not, it isn't different because you're feeding raw. Like, the Bristol stool chart doesn't apply to my dog because they're raw fed. No,
definitely
that's
still
not
applies.
it. It definitely still applies. If your dog's doing Malteser poos, it needs some fibre. If you don't want to cook veg like me, then that's fine. But you could add something like Maxi Digest. You could add something like psyllium husk. But at the end of the day, raw feeding is a very energy-dense way of feeding. And it's low residue. And by residue, that's the things that added, that are part of the diet that makes up the bulk of a stool.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
And also it takes longer to digest. Yes. Everyone's like, raw digests quicker. No, it doesn't.
A bit like like you said, when we eat a steak. I do love a steak, but not for 3 meals a day.
Yeah, and depending on how it's prepared as well, big lumps of meat, they're going to take longer to digest and bone as well than a mince. And the finer it's minced, the quicker it digests and so on. Whereas kibble digests really quickly. It swells up in the gut and then it gets broken down. Even the ones that don't swell up, it still gets broken down by moisture quite quickly. And then that gastric emptying is kind of a constant process in between meals. So, each meal might result in 2 poos, whereas for raw, each meal might just result in 1. And then you get some dogs that just really like pooing.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, with every question, it's like dog dependent, isn't it?
And then it's dog dependent. Yeah. It very much is. They are individuals.
They really are.
I've got one that I'm one dog, and she's prone to being chunky, so she eats less than everyone else. And I honestly, even with the job that I do, look at what she produces, and I don't know how it's possible. They're massive.
Oh, weird. And you think, where's it coming from?
Like proper big old,
wow, like horse poos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm like, how have you done that? You've got like 200 grams of meat. How have you done that? And she just looks at it as if to say, I'm just good. I'm just really good at pooing.
Yeah. Special talent. Just talented.
Special talent.
Oh, bless her. So this one's an interesting one then. It says, I want to feed raw, but my dog's teeth stay a lot cleaner on kibble. What do you recommend giving raw-fed dogs to keep their teeth clean?
Well, why don't you feed your dog raw and give it kibble once a week?
Yeah.
You could do that. You could do mixed feeding. Now that we've very strongly established that mixed feeding is absolutely fine
Dog's
to do.
not going to die, yeah.
You could do half and half. So you could do kibble in the morning, raw at night, something like that, or you could mix it together, that's fine. Add something like we were talking about, the kelp, so something like Plakoff. The way that kelp works is it's not a physical abrasive, it changes the enzymes in the mouth that softens plaque. So the other thing that you could do is you could feed raw, but then you could give once or twice a week a chew.
Yeah.
anything like a yak chew, a goat braid, something that they're really going to get all of their teeth round. You can, as part of raw feeding, people feed things like duck necks and stuff like that. You can give those. That will help clean teeth. You can get fish for dogs and skippers and, pretty much anyone on Amazon that does dog treats. The fish cubes.
Yes,
that are a kind of square
Fish
cube.
skins.
They take a lot of good crunching. They really clean the teeth quite well.
Yes.
Anything like that, absolutely fine. Or you could be like one of these super duper good like dog parents, and you could brush your dog's teeth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You could brush your dog's teeth. I say it all the time. Like, you are supposed to brush your dog's teeth. Like, you are. I don't. I should, and I tell other people that they should, but I say that with the I don't. I know I should, but I don't.
But there's other ways, isn't there? There's other ways.
Sorry, pet professionals.
Yeah. Sorry, but it is what it is.
Although their pearly whites are looking pretty good. But yeah, you could also just brush them. Enzymatic toothpaste, absolutely fine. Verbac do one. Otherwise, you can just use one of those little finger brushes, a little bit of coconut oil, a little dab of bicarb on, get that round.
Okay.
Fine.
Plenty of ways. Plenty of ways,
yeah.
Cool. So what supplements do you recommend for someone on a budget with 5 dogs? So they want to give supplements, but they're on a budget and they have lots of dogs to buy said supplements for.
Yeah, so same as me, really. And what I do with that is the horsey supplements.
Yes, yeah.
So, and it's the straight herbs that I talked about before.
Yes,
in those same doses. So all those herbs that I mentioned, nettle, thyme, chamomile, rosehip, those 4 herbs. That's what I would be doing for supplements.
Okay.
Each of those 4 herbs, nettle, thyme, chamomile, rosehip, it's half a teaspoon per 5 kilograms body weight of each of those herbs. You can get them. Dodson and Horrell do them. Horse herbs do them. Equus, I think they're called, EQUUS, Equus horse herbs, they do them. And these are what we call straights. And straights are just straight herbs of any one of those. And you can buy like a kilogram at a time, 500 grams at a time, however much you need. You can also buy them from places like Just Ingredients and buy Whole Foods online. The non-organic ones are a little bit less expensive than the organic ones. And what you can do with that is you can just get a feed bin or a big Tupperware box. You can just dump them all in, times the amount, that dosage amount, that half a teaspoon by 4, because you're using 4 different herbs. So that's 2 teaspoons for a 5 kilogram dog, and then do it that way.
So getting them for horses then, that it's cheaper because you can like bulk buy and stuff like that. That's a good little hack.
Yeah. And it's a feed grade quality product then. So, it doesn't matter that maybe there's a bit of dust and grit and shit in there, because dogs are eating soil in their own bum holes anyway, so that doesn't matter.
Gross animals.
We're not putting we're not putting it in our tea and serving it to the queen. So it doesn't matter that it's the quality of the herb is fine. The cleanliness of it in terms of like dirt and stuff, maybe not.
But they'll be fine.
Maybe not the best.
Yeah.
But my dogs have never minded.
Yes. And I think a lot, like we said earlier, a lot of people think, oh, it has to be made for dogs, but it doesn't. Like, it's still the same thing.
No, it doesn't have to. No, it doesn't have to have the dog label on it, as long as you're not winging it. Like, when I say that, if I'm using human products, I've double checked that there's nothing else in it. Like, if I'm giving an omega-3, it's just a fish oil.
Yeah.
There's no added vitamin D in there. There's no added flipping whatever that might not be good for dogs.
You still got to check.
Just the fish oil. Yeah.
Cool. So, what is the impact of nutrition on an agility dog's performance? For example, increased energy, stamina, and focus.
All of that.
I was going to say, so it's quite a broad question, isn't it?
It's a broad question, but the impact of it, well, it's essential, because if you don't feed your dog, they're not going to be able to do, to the best of their ability, any of those things. If you don't feed them correctly, they're not going to have the energy to do it. If you don't feed them correctly, they're not going to be able to focus. All of that. And then that goes back to the question of, is bog standard food with no supplements, etc., is that enough? Yeah, until it's not.
Yeah.
and then you want someone like me to tell you why it's not and to fix it, and then that's what I do. So the impact comes down to the individual. For some dogs, the impact is great. For some dogs, they're not doing well at any of those things. They don't have good energy when you want them to. They can't focus in training when you want them to. And then you come to someone like me, and I'm like, well, that dog's probably not focusing because they're on a food that's 42% protein, and that might just be a bit much. So we'll drop it down. You're feeding them 4 times a day. That dog's digestion is never getting any rest. They're just in a constant state of digesting food and having really high circulating calories from that food, that's making their brain quite excited, and therefore you're not getting focused. Does that dog have the energy to do what you want it to do? Yes, but it's misplaced because it's having the energy at the wrong time. So you figure out the difference between provided energy, which is just circulating blood glucose, and stored energy, which is what you've got going on in the background for when the muscle glycogen, so the energy that's in the muscles, once that's been depleted, then where's your backup energy coming from? If your dog's running on circulating energy, which is usually from kind of fats or carbohydrates, how does that need tweaking to make that dog do well? And then if you cross-reference that with products that I've developed for these specific roles for dogs, then that gives you a little bit more of a clue. Let's take, so the Better Every Day is a really good example for that. Herbal-wise, it's got everything in it for focus. So it's got chamomile to help with bodily calm. So you want the body to feel supple and flexible and relaxed, because if the body feels relaxed, that's going to help the brain feel relaxed and help them focus. But then what else helps with focus? Well, all the other things that are in there. Lion's mane mushrooms, very well studied for how it helps with focus. Ginseng, Siberian or Korean ginseng, any of those. How does that help with focus? Well, go and have a look, because all that information is there, and that's why that particular supplement is in that product. And I would say others like it, but there aren't any other products like it, not yet. And then you look at something like Busy Breakfast.
Okay.
So Rebecca Sargent, we worked together to make a product called Busy Breakfast. So that's on her Busy Canine website, and that's what I've done with that. So you add it to a competition dog's breakfast, and it's just extra of everything to provide energy that's in like a gradual state of providing energy. So once one thing has been digested to provide energy for your first round, then that's gone. But then the next thing is already begun digesting to provide energy for the next thing, and so on and so forth. So it sees your dog through the day up until tea time with this layered approach to providing energy for what they do. So I mean, the impact can be huge. If you've got a dog that just runs on adrenaline and does and manages its own adrenaline really well, so it can use adrenaline to focus, it can use adrenaline to perform really well, then for that dog, the impact of calories and herbs and all the rest of it on their performance and their focus probably isn't going to be that great. But for the dog that's in the opposite position, that really struggles to do well on the calories that it's provided in terms of energy, then the impact of making some changes to suit the way that that dog's body works can be immeasurable. And then the flip side of it is that we can do lots and lots of little tweaks, each one of those being a marginal gain, that initially you don't necessarily see what's occurring. But then 3 months down the line, you look at what your dog's doing now since you made those dietary changes to what it was doing 3 months prior. And then you realise, actually, it's made a big difference. Usually I see this from husbands. If someone's had a consultation because they've got a hyperactive dog or something like that, and I give them 12,000 herbs and I'll tell them that will help. You get husbands that say, I'm sorry to pick on men, but in this case it is men.
It actually is this time.
Well, you get like, all these bloody things putting in this dog, and it don't bloody do anything anyway. It doesn't do anything anyway. So then the executive decision is made to just stop doing it because it doesn't do anything anyway. And then after a week, the husband's like, why is this dog such an arsehole? Like, because you stopped giving it the things
that was helping
that I told you to give it.
Yes.
That's why your dog's being a bumhole, because you didn't believe, actually, you're the arsehole.
Yes, absolutely. It's all your fault. I just find it so fascinating how diet can have such a big impact, and does have such a big impact on the dog sort of focus, you know, mentally, not just physically, energy and stuff like that. It's like all mental in the brain. Like that's very fascinating. Impacts the brain just as much as it does the body, doesn't it?
Hugely. It's all connected, isn't it? It's all connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what percentage splits should you look for in the ingredients of dog food?
Well, in ingredients, that's a tough one, because some really good dog foods have got 20 ingredients and some really good dog foods have only got 5 or 6.
Yeah, true.
So there isn't a set in stone percentage for ingredients. There's a possibility that question might refer to macros, as in what percentage of protein and fat and carbohydrates and so on. If it means that, we kind of touched on that earlier, you know, between, you know, 25, 30% protein or even 20, 30% protein, fine. Some diets go all the way up to kind of 40% and beyond, such as raw diets, and that's fine too. For dogs that maybe don't have the best functioning kidneys or whatever, you might look at lower protein. And the same with fat. So, you know, most foods, the average fat content, if you're not dealing with any gastric illness or sensitivity where you would need lower fat, most of them sit around 15% fat. But again, with raw foods, that creeps higher and higher. So, you know, the fat content can be way more. So again, that depends on the dog as to what they tolerate. But let's say that we are just looking at ingredients. Well, firstly, you have to level the playing field. So that's what we were talking about with the dry matter thing. So if we make everything the equivalent of dry, it depends. Most diets, kind of the bog standard ones, are at least kind of 50% of your whatever your protein source is. So, you know, beef, turkey, lamb, whatever it is. So you'll see a lot of the really popular dry foods, and they're the ones that I recommend most often, which are GA pet foods are the ones that make them. So these are the brown bags that say grain free on them.
Oh yes, yeah.
And it's a factory that makes about 300 or more labeled products, but they're basically all the same thing. So I think Nourish is one of them, Country Kibble, Millie's Wolf Heart, they're all made by GA Pet Foods. And most of them, at a minimum, are kind of 50% meat.
Okay.
And then if they're a grain-free, the other 50% of ingredients usually are sweet potato, if it's the grain-free ones. Sometimes there's white potato as well, but most of them, it's like meat and sweet potato. They're a 50-50, and then all the other little bits kind of, you know, under 5% for like different herbs and bits and bobs. One ingredient that I see in some grain-free is peas, which is fine, but I'm only into if the peas are 10% and under. If it's more than 10% peas, I'm like,
too many peas.
I think you're trying to too many peas. There's some queries in grain-free foods about the effects of having too many lentils and peas and legumes and things like that, and how it impacts how taurine is uptaken and all of this. So just for the sake of argument, 10% and under of peas or any other lentils or whatever, then that's what I would say for percentages of those.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it really does depend on the dog and what they do best with. But the short answer is that it's not set in stone. But for actual protein content, I don't go less than 18% in order to meet their needs. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and again, like we said, we've harped on about this so much, but it is so dog dependent that some dogs will be fine on.
Dependent.
Yeah, it depends.
And
how
also,
much they can take.
there's also the understanding that macros, which is protein, fat, and carbohydrate, that protein is not the same in that context as meat. And I see this a lot when people are talking about ingredients and all the rest of it. Then there's lots of talk about protein. I'm like, do you mean protein content?
Or do you mean meat?
Meat content?
Yes, true.
People get that very confused all the time.
Yeah, assume they're the
Protein is a
same.
macronutrient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And meat is the ingredient.
And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the meat content either.
No, yeah.
Because you can have a meat-free dog food with, 30% protein.
Yeah, just from different sources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like soy and tofu and things like that.
I think more important is to understand the ingredients before you worry about how much of what of those ingredients there are.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely that.
So, what is your opinion on kibble then? And is it really the worst type of food to feed your dog? So, here's a big stereotype then that this person's heard.
just a little bit. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. It's I don't know what's happened in the world for this to be such a thing, and for the blatantly obvious to be so absent from people's drawing of conclusions. The blatantly obvious is, let's look at the high-performing, physically well dogs in our country. Because what happens is, the kibble versus everything that's not kibble argument comes about usually with this basis of facts from influencers.
Yes.
So things like the Pet Fooled documentary that's on Netflix. And it shows you piles of disgusting carcasses on a factory forecourt, black, oozing.
Nice.
Bits of cow, there's bits of horse. It's sad. It looks disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like the setting of a horror movie where in the next frame a fly's flown from this, gotten in someone's eye, and the next thing we're all zombies and there's going to be an apocalypse.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. That's how it's presented. This is the meat that's in kibble. Fuck off.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you really think that if that's what was happening as a standard, that we'd be getting anywhere with anything with our dogs? When it's not it. It did happen in the US.
I think, again, when you say, you've hit the nail on the head when you said it's the influences and influencers and whatever, stuff like that. It's seeing things on social media, like you said, on TV, stuff like that. And people just take it so literally and spiral, and then that's their new belief.
Yeah, but also, it's no one's fault. It's no one's fault that they believe these things. Because what are you supposed to believe when there's no alternate education?
Yeah, exactly.
And the alternate education has obvious bias. So people will say these things, and then the big pet food companies like Hills, Purina, Royal Canin, all of that, which, are separately then owned by mega conglomerates like Mars and so on and so forth. They're the people that then provide the counter argument. But it's the existence of those people that makes the argument in the first place, because people like, I don't want to feed my dog food from a conglomerate that has originated in the United States, who think that it's okay to make food out of piles of rotting meat from dead carcasses that have died of disease, not died because they were destined for the food chain anyway.
Yes, yeah.
And no one's providing the counter-argument, and if they are, they don't have a big noisy platform. You've got two noisy platforms, both of which are incredibly fucking biased. Like, do you think the raw food people aren't biased?
Oh, yeah.
Of course the raw food people are biased. You look at the big raw food influencers. They're making money, so much money, and they're making so much money by indoctrinating you into their cult.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
it's all about money making.
All of it. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's not commercial.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Doesn't mean that their commercial-minded people aren't willing to exploit your fears in order to get what they want, which is your money. And in that respect, they're no different than Mars and Royal Canin and Purina. The only difference is Royal Canin and Purina and everyone else have gotten themselves into this bracket of science. Because they've got millions and millions and millions and millions, because they are a commercial outfit that are very interlinked, investors, money, so much money. They get to call themselves science diets and whatever because they actually are doing the science.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's biased because they're paying for it themselves. Yes, some of the vets that then promote their products are doing it because the information that they've received has been from and paid for those conglomerates so that the vets will then sell their products. But that's because the vets can sell their products because they can say, here's a study that says this is how it works, this is why it works, blah, 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 blah. The difference is that you don't then have to go and take that information from that study and feed that food. You can take that information from that study and feed whatever the fuck you want if you know how to apply that information to feeding whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that's it.
And this is the difference. It's like everything. It's separatist, it's divisive, it's arguing online, it's emotive, it creates so much cash flow.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Buying, all about money on both sides.
Yeah.
And this is the bit. This is the bit on both sides.
Yeah.
Equally, it's still a commercial enterprise. So
don't be scared of kibble, basically.
Don't be scared of kibble, and think how much the things that are being said to frighten you about kibble actually apply to your situation and the kibble that you want to feed. So the kind of top 3 or 4, if we want to identify the main problems, are that kibble causes cancer because it's high in carbohydrates, and carbohydrates feed cancer. That's a big one.
Yeah.
The big one that starts it all, kibble causes cancer.
Everyone's immediately scared. Yeah.
Everyone's immediately scared. Now listen, I work with just as many raw-fed dogs as I do kibble-fed dogs, and I've been doing this a long time now. I've also been around so many dogs fed both things, and I can honestly say that I do not see less cancer in raw-fed dogs than I do in kibble-fed dogs. Deal with more raw-fed dogs than I do kibble-fed dogs, I would say.
All right.
So actually, I'm seeing more cancer in raw-fed dogs, but that's because I deal more with raw-fed dogs.
Yes, true. Yeah.
And because I have relationships with the people that I deal with, when their dog does get cancer, they come and see me.
Yes, yeah.
Of course, if I was really shit at understanding science, and if I was of the same mindset as these people, I would be going, raw causes cancer.
Yeah.
I've got 100 clients at the minute, all raw fed, all got cancer. And I could read it, but I'm not, because causation and correlation are not the same thing. What we have to understand is the reason why, unlike 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago, 1 in 4 dogs now have cancer, and before they didn't, is because we weren't taking them to the vets. Dogs would get cancer, wander off and die by themselves, and no one would ever know that they had cancer.
Yeah.
We didn't have as many dogs as we did, and when we did, the dogs were more fit for function. We didn't have 11 billion inbred French bulldogs that can't breathe, that live in a constant state of stress because they can't breathe. Therefore, they're in a constant state of inflammation. Therefore, their T cells are through the roof from the minute that they're born to the minute that they're dying. When you've got T cells that are through the roof, of course they're going to get cancer.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with the food they're eating.
Nothing to do with the food that they're eating. And you know this because you look at certain breeds, and certain cancers are endemic in certain breeds. Golden Retrievers get brain tumours. Scottish Terriers get bladder cancer. So on and so forth. And we're breeding these dogs at a rate of knots. That's why dogs are getting sicker. That's why dogs are getting cancer.
Breeding.
That's why veterinary medicine is exploding in terms of usage and how much we need it and rely on it, and how many drugs for all sorts of things we're using. All of this, it's a massive picture that isn't just as simple as kibble's evil and that's why it's all happening. The other thing, so that's the cancer argument. It's not, it's genetics.
Yes.
The next thing is it's the same as McDonald's because it's ultra processed. And it's burnt brown biscuits.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So the people that are calling things ultra processed do not have a scale as to what ultra-processed means.
They're just
There's
assuming.
There's a recent book that came out that is saying that anything that comes out of a tin is ultra-processed.
Oh, that's very
So you can have
broad,
carrots
isn't
and
it?
water. Yeah, you can have carrots and water, cooked it maybe with a pinch of salt and sugar. Carrots and water cooked in a tin.
Yeah.
That's ultra-processed food.
Because it's in a tin.
Because it's in a tin.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, interesting.
And then there's the burnt brown biscuits bit.
Yeah.
And how if something's brown, it's the effect and it's the number of carcinogens from being cooked at such high temperatures and blah, 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 blah. That food that I was saying about, the GA pet foods, which is, they produce most of the food in this country, and all of the other places that produce most of the kibble in this country, it's cooked at under 90 degrees for a start. So it's not a burnt brown biscuit. It's cooked at under 90 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that then.
No,
not that. And then the poor quality ingredients and the fillers and the rendered meat and all the rest of it. In this country, if you have a farm animal that dies on your farm from anything at all, the paperwork that is involved with having that animal taken away and destroyed is unreal. That animal can't be going into any sort of food chain.
No, that's not.
All. No. So there's that. When you go to these places, these factories have got contracts with fisheries and farmers. You see the produce come in, it's fresh. I personally know farmers, like they're real life people that I've looked in the eye and had conversations with. One of them I grew up with, supply direct to the pet food. They're growing animals just for them.
Okay.
So that's not happening either.
No, that's wrong.
So a lot of it comes from not understanding at all any of the industries involved with feeding people.
That's what it is, lack of understanding, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you have a lack of education about things like that, it creates a massive space for literally anyone to then fill that void of education with nonsense. And because no one has a reference point,
they take that.
They believe it. And then when the people who do have reference points come and present their information, then it's called bias.
Yeah.
Because it's coming from a place of money. So it's really, really difficult.
That's annoying.
It's annoying. But the thing that's most annoying for me is the people that say these things, that do the fear-mongering, they're not the one sat on the phone on a Friday night to a pet parent whose dog has cancer and thinks it's their fault.
Yes, yeah.
They don't do that. Yeah. They're not speaking to these people. They're not getting the human experience. They're not shouldering some of the guilt and having to reassure someone that just because they fed their dog a bowl full of wag in 2011, that's not why their dog's got cancer.
Yeah.
That's the bit that kind of pees me off a little bit of the raw versus kibble and demonising kibble debate. It's because the aftermath of that information when it comes to real life people and real life dogs, especially when the people who are saying that have caveats to their practice, like you can have a consultation with Billy Big Bollocks raw vet, but only if your dog's already raw fed. So that vet then is only going to take the easy cases.
Yeah, I was going to say, not as much work to do for them then.
Not as much work to do for them then. It immediately puts a barrier, because some dogs can't eat raw. They literally can't. They'll shit themselves to death.
Yeah.
Or they've got a medical problem where they can't. Whatever the reason, not honouring people's reasons for not feeding raw as a barrier to care from that particular vet, I just think, yeah, I'm not into it. I'm not into it.
No, yeah. It's just a lack of general understanding and the wrong kind of education, isn't it?
It's just very divisive.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily divisive, and just fosters the sort of negativity that I cannot get on board with.
No. Do not be scared of kibble people.
Just get kibble. Fine.
So this question then, and I do this quite a lot, as I said. So my raw-fed dog and I travel a lot for agility. What is the best alternative to raw when you don't have access to a fridge or freezer while you're travelling? And I hear this a lot. This is quite a popular topic of conversation.
Well, it's up to you. Like I said before, if you've got a really robust dog that can flip flop about between, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Choose what meets everyone's needs most easily.
Yes.
If you've got a dog that's a bit more sensitive, where we have to be looking more at like for like, then I would say look at Natura Vital.
Okay.
If we're mainly talking to agility people here, I don't know if anyone knows Georgie Lott, but she's got a discount code.
Oh, okay.
And I think Nicole Turner might have a discount code as well.
Oh, cool.
But I know that Georgie does, but they are both sponsored by them. The reason why I mention their foods is because they do tins that don't have a stabilising ingredient in it called carrageenan. And carrageenan is mostly fine. It's in most wet foods. And your wet foods are where you're going to find that's most like raw.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the composition and the meat content. But some of them do have stabilisers in them, and it's the stabilisers that if it's going to upset a dog's stomach, it's that does it rather than anything else that it contains. And sometimes it's carrageenan that does that. So for a really sensitive dog that doesn't always back and forth well between raw and wet, it might be that you need a different sort of wet. And Natura Vital don't use that particular stabiliser.
Right.
They have meat pots and meat rolls that are really similar to raw. There's hardly anything else in it. Those ones aren't totally complete. And then they have their complete tins, which will have things like little bits of veg like courgette or carrot or, herbs and things.
Yeah.
So those ones are really good.
Okay, cool.
You can get dry that is as similar to raw as it can be. For example, Darf.
Okay.
So there's Darf Wild is a good one if you've got a dog that needs to be on like venison or avoiding chicken and beef. And so the wild one is venison and goose, I think. But they also do a lamb one. So that's a dry food that's quite similar in composition to raw as well.
Okay.
Does have a little bit of millet in it. So it's the millet in that stabilises it.
Because I know you can get freeze-dried raw, can't you? That a lot of people use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they've got loads of money.
Potentially, yeah.
The freeze-dried raw is absolutely an option. It is quite expensive.
Yes. Okay.
And the same for things like, although it's a little bit more kind of veg and carb heavy, there's pure pet food, which you add water to. If you want it to be like really extra, you can make your raw into like burgers and dehydrate it yourself.
Oh, right. Okay.
If you have a dehydrator, you can whack it in the garage or outside or something because it can be quite stinky. Doesn't work with very fatty meats, so but it does work. It's more hard work with very fatty meats. If you want to be super duper extra and you're organised and have time, you could dehydrate your own raw. There's a lot of the kind of dehydrated or dried raw options where it is literally just that. They are super duper expensive, but totally doable.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise I think I'd be looking at tinned. Again, Natura Vital, absolutely great. But if your dog if that's maybe out of budget, or your dog is fine with, the stabilising additives, it doesn't upset their stomach, then just any sort of meat heavy wet food is going to be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, things like Fourth Blade isn't bad.
Yep, heard of that as well.
Yeah, because that's like 60-70% meat upwards. I tell you what's good, actually. Nature Diet. They're giving you 50% off your first order at the minute.
Oh, right, perfect.
About 500 flipping... Anyway, Nature Diet is good. They do some 92% meat ones. They do some grain-free ones.
Oh, cool.
And they have a feel-good range, which has got like a 2% rice and potato in it or something. I mean, if rice and potato really offends you, obviously don't feed it. If 2% rice and potato doesn't offend you, then go for it. They've got 50% off.
So much to be afraid of.
Quite well. Yeah, and they're quite they're in a Tetra Pak, so they're square and they're firm, like it's meaty.
Right, okay. Oh, perfect.
Holds its shape. So those ones are good, and they're for super duper cheap as chips on Zoo Plus. I like Zoo Plus. I like saving pennies, and I like I like reward points.
Who doesn't?
On Zoo Plus, there's Rocco. Their classic tins are mainly kind of beef based.
Okay.
But if your dog's fine with beef, then they'll be fine with that. And then they've got, and I might be saying this wrong, Luculus, but apparently it's Belgian and you're not supposed to pronounce the S, so Luculou.
Luculou, okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Someone on a consult with me the other day kept calling it Luculou. I'm like, is that how you say it?
Oh, I'd be saying it wrong this whole time, you were thinking.
or Luculus. Anyway, those ones, very high meat content. The sensitive stomachs, they have a turkey and game one, which is kind of low fat.
Okay.
It's quite good. What else on Zoo Plus? There's also Rosie's Farm. That's quite good.
What's your opinion on semi-moist, as far as, using it?
Semi-moist. I love how since the dog world has invented semi-moist dog food that we're all suddenly okay with saying moist now.
I know, yeah, but I've always been okay with saying moist. I've never been one of those people bothered by moist.
I've always been a bit cringy dropping an M-bomb.
No, I do quite like saying that word in front of people that don't like it. It's funny.
I probably should just grow up. Go outside and touch grass. I'm all right with it. I don't mind. I find that in maybe like 2% of dogs, the glycerin that's in it, because it's glycerin that makes it semi-moist. It's not really semi-moist. It's not moisture that does it. It's glycerin.
Oh, right.
So for a small number of dogs, the glycerin or glycerol, it's like vegetable glycerin, isn't it? Which is the same thing that it's a humectant. So it's what's in vape. And air conditioning and things, skincare and stuff like that. But it's still food safe.
Oh, right, okay.
But some dogs don't get on well with it. For some, it makes them super hyper, and for others, it just makes them poo.
Makes arrow poo.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's just one that you'll find it in anything. So, like fourth grade softies, any kind of like chewy, soft treats, anything like that. Okay. Anything that's described as being kind of soft or moist is going to have glycerin in it. And for loads of dogs, it's fine. And for some, it just really upsets their stomach.
Oh, interesting.
And for others, makes them barky, hyper nonsense. So, theme of the podcast, it depends on your dog.
Yeah, I mean, it does make Arrow do a lot of poos on it, but they're good quality poos. Do you know what I mean? He never has a bad stomach on it, so...
Yeah, it just makes them poo a lot. Some dogs, it might make them a little bit runny.
Yeah.
But one of mine, it makes her insufferably hyperactive.
Oh, interesting.
That's just her.
I was going to say,
that has happened to. But yeah, cool. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. If it suits your dog, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying glycerin's an awful ingredient either. I'm just saying that's what makes it the way that it is.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you don't like the sound of that, then that's the reason not to give it. But it's really not a problem.
Yeah, each their own, isn't it?
Each to their own.
So last question then. So just to round up the episode, what are your best 3 pieces of advice when it comes to feeding an agility dog specifically? So 3 wham bam best pieces of advice if you could choose to give to everyone.
Of course. Wham bam, number 1, hydration.
Big one.
If you feed dry food, put water on it. If at the end of your agility day, no matter what it is that you're feeding, put water on it. If your dog doesn't like water, then tempt them with something like better hydration, which lots of dogs really like. If your dog doesn't really like better hydration because they're weird, and that's fine.
Yeah, no judgment, but that's weird.
no judgment, but how dare they?
Yeah.
Just normal goat's milk, absolutely fine. Bone broth, absolutely fine. But you've got to get the fluids into your agility dogs. They work really hard. Their kidneys work really hard. And all of the kind of muscle byproducts, everything, if you're rewarding with lots of treats that are maybe high in purines or whatever it is, the best thing that you can do for that dog's recovery from that day, from those activities, from what they've done, is by adding water to their food.
Same with people, isn't it? Hydration for athletes, so important.
So important. But also really forgotten. But when you look at human athletes, how they get a lot of their extra nutrition or supplemental nutrition quite a lot of the time, it's in things like shakes.
Yes, yeah.
So every time they're doing something to get something into themselves nutritionally, it's with a load of fluid.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Okay.
Really start prioritizing fluid if you're not already. And the way that I do it is 10 mils per kilogram.
Okay.
So that you're not bloating them, so it's not all in one go. So you've got a 10 kilogram dog, then 100 mils of fluid throughout the day.
Yeah.
Totaling up to like half a litre, whatever. Then do that.
Okay.
Cool. So that's what I would do. That's number one, hydration. Number two, fresh stuff.
Okay.
Because when you've had all of this activity with the muscles, then there is oxidation within the cells. That's just how using energy works. It's like fuel. When you burn a fuel, you have byproducts, and that is oxidation. Okay. And the way we get rid of oxidation within the cells is with the other thing that so oxidation and free radicals. So things that come out of the cells that you want to get rid of. The way to help your body get rid of those is with antioxidants. And antioxidants are in things like fruit and veg. In animal products, it's things that might be higher in vitamin A and vitamin E, so things like liver, stuff like that. So that's what I would do. I would add in a good source, a reliable source of antioxidants. So for me, it's the herbs I mentioned before: nettle, thyme, chamomile, rosehip. Okay. If it's not those four things, then it's something like Better Every Day. But what you want is either a really good, colourful amount of fruit and veg added to your dog's meal at least once a day.
Yeah.
Or herbs that provide the same sort of antioxidant properties in good bioavailable amounts. Well, cool. 3 things I have to do.
So
keep it fresh. Third thing for agility dogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're keeping it fresh with hydration and fruits and vegetables and antioxidants.
Absolutely.
And the third thing is
so many important things to choose from.
Important things to choose from. Are we making, is it super like specific? So agility dogs after an agility like competition, or just agility dogs in general? Is there any more? I'm
gonna say this person means more agility dogs in general, like dogs that have a very active sporting lifestyle. I'm gonna take that as.
Okay, cool. So hydration, antioxidants. It's a toss-up between omega-3 or good sleep.
Interesting.
Can't decide. Should we do 4?
Yeah, go on. Let's do 4.
Okay. So third thing.
Yeah.
thing is omega-3s.
Yes.
Which I spoke about before anyway. So you can either do, and for omega-3s, I don't like salmon oil as choice of omega-3, and I don't like flax or flaxseed oil as a choice for supplementing omega-3. So neither of those things.
Okay.
I like fish oil that's not from salmon.
Okay.
So have a little look online. It's in the amounts that I looked at before, but an omega-3 supplement, absolutely. And a 500 milligram fish oil, not from salmon, capsule per 5 kilogram body weight, it's absolutely fine. You can get ones online that are 500 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams, 2,000 milligrams, or you can get just fish oil liquids that you can add to your dog's food. So an omega-3, yes.
Yeah.
And then my last thing is sleep, because
huge.
It's a huge thing, and a lot of dogs I see that are competing. Yeah, and people too. That I potter around and quietly observe things at agility shows throughout the day and into the night, and I just look at some dogs and I think, when was last time you bloody well slept, dog? Look at you, wired, on edge. Dogs cannot recover correctly without good sleep. And if dogs are not getting good sleep, then come see me and I'll help you. But look into making their sleep better. we're talking about meeting basic needs.
Yes.
And as well as hydration and nutrition being a basic need, comfort and shelter and sleep are also a basic need. And if I was ever on a mission about hydration, I feel like I've gotten some way in making people be really on top and aware with that. I'll still mention it, but people are doing so much better at hydration.
Yeah.
I see it. I see that there's been a real change in people's attitudes to that, and I'm all for it. So my next little mission is
sleep,
rest and sleep and recovery for dogs. They've got to sleep.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's not acceptable that someone comes to me and says, well, no, my dog, because I always ask, does your dog sleep well? And they go, yeah, except when we're at competitions. They don't sleep at competitions. It's not okay for your dog to be awake from Friday till Monday or Sunday or however long it is. They've got to rest. It's really bad for their brain. So you need to do what you need to do to find out why they're not sleeping, and facilitate it if you can. So it may be covered crates, it may be helping with sensory issues, using something like a happy hoodie to make things more quiet for them. It might be come see me and I can give you supplements and, sprinkles and witchy shit to help them sleep. It might be that they need some pet remedy spray, just
because all the
around
important
their bed
things
area
happen,
can help them.
all the important processes and all sorts happen during sleep, doesn't it? So if they're not getting that, those things aren't happening.
Yeah, and it has such a massive impact on performance, huge impact on performance. And when I look at, controversial, but still relevant, because like I was saying before, where there's money, there's information.
Yeah.
Greyhounds, their sleep has been well studied. Now, I'm not advocating for greyhound racing. That's not why I'm mentioning it. I'm mentioning it because any sport where betting is involved, although greyhound racing might not be that much of a big thing here, in other countries, and countries that put a lot of money into their greyhounds, or racing dogs in general.
Yeah.
Sleep is a big one. And, whatever else those dogs might suffer, they're still getting looked after for their sleep because it's important to their performance.
Yeah,
so I would say my next big mission in life is getting dogs to have better quality sleep and help their people to do that for them.
That's what's next for Sport Dog Nutrition. Sleep.
That's what's next. Getting your dog to sleep well and rest well.
Yeah,
but yeah,
super
it's that's what I would say. Yeah.
Perfect. And we got a little fourth one in there. Treat everyone.
I did. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. Well, that is all of the questions. Thank you again for coming on. That was super interesting.
If anyone wants to find me or wants to know where to find me, there is a website imminent, but I've dragged my heels on it a little bit. So until then, which will be soon, you can find me on my Facebook group, which is Sport Dog Nutrition.
Perfect.
I am on Instagram, but as Summer will tell you, I'm terrible for checking in it. I don't know how to work it.
People can follow you anyway, it's fine.
You can follow me, but I'm the worst at answering messages or just generally seeing when people tag me in anything at all. But otherwise, my Facebook group is Sport Dog Nutrition.
Perfect. Everyone go join. Yeah, amazing. I am a member.
You are a member, of course.
Can highly recommend. Very interesting.
Thank you.
What an amazing, informative conversation that was. I hope you guys got as much out of that as I did. I had a super, super fun time speaking to Holly all about the nutrition of agility dogs, and I learnt a lot. So once again, thank you so much, Holly, for jumping on the podcast with me today and talking about this really, really highly requested topic that I've been getting. And yeah, I learnt a lot. I hope you guys did too. But you know the drill. Please do leave the podcast a 5-star rating or review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. That would mean the absolute world to me. Also, make sure you're following me on social media at Paws in Pursuit. I'm on pretty much every single platform. You can keep up to date with me over there. I also offer in-person agility lessons now, one-to-ones and group classes in Lincoln, LN6 postcode. So if you're interested in booking an in-person session with me, then please just get in touch. I would love to help you guys reach your agility goals, especially now we're going into winter. It's time to crack down on all those training goals and fix those weaknesses and do all the things so that we can come back next season even stronger and absolutely nail the season. So yeah, please do get in contact with me if you would like to book a session with me. And I think that is it. Again, as far as what I'm up to in the next week, not a ton, just a lot of work. Also, I am judging at Inspire on Sunday. So if you're competing at Inspire on Sunday and you're in one of my classes or more, if you're really lucky, I hope you enjoy running my courses. I really enjoyed designing my courses for this month's Inspire. So yeah, hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoyed designing them, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys try to tackle them with your dogs. But I think that is everything. Make sure to also keep sending me your podcast topic recommendations, what you would like me to talk about in solo episodes, and also guests that you would like me to have on in future guest episodes, and what topics you want me to speak about with those guests that you would like me to have on. And yeah, if you send me in a request for a podcast topic, I will turn it into an episode, pretty much guaranteed, unless it's ridiculous, but obviously that goes without saying. So please don't be shy. Tell me what you would like to hear and I will make it happen for you. But without further ado, like I said, not tons to speak about as far as the live front goes. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and I will speak to you all in the next one. Bye guys.